Our top story today from the GatewayPundit.com, New York FBI field office head was forced out just days after his office was revealed to have been hiding thousands of Epstein documents from Attorney General Pam Bondi. We're covering this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name's Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Before we jump into that, I'd like to introduce my co-host today. He's a frontline Australian protest reporter, goes by Chris Coveries, reporting on Australia's brutal COVID lockdowns, fighting the mainstream media's woke hypocrisy with uncut, uninterrupted live streams from Sydney's violent riots after the Islamist stabbing of Bishop Mari, as we all know, to the USAID protests lynching a mock President Trump outside the Capitol. He has captured the evidence to challenge false establishment narratives, and he joins me today. Chris, welcome to the GatewayPundit.com.
Thanks for having me, Elijah. Fired. That story should say not forced out, but fired. You're concealing documents. We've been through this several times before. In Australia, we'd be firing it. Why aren't you doing it here?
You know, I think as we talk about this, probably the main reason why we're not firing people is because this means behind closed doors, there was pressure put onto someone where they might have even resigned, but in shame. You know, everyone knows in college the walk of shame. This is the same kind of mentality, right? You did something naughty, and I think you should probably be in jail, but there was probably a deal made. Let's talk about it. New York FBI field office head was forced out just days after his office was revealed to have been hiding thousands of Epstein documents. Cullen Linebarger reports. Here's the full story. There's been a significant shakeup within the FBI as one of its top officials has been forced out. NBC News reported Monday that James Dennehy, the head of FBI's New York office, threw in the towel just days after his office was revealed to have been hiding thousands of Epstein documents. Quote, late Friday, I was informed that I needed to put my retirement papers in today, which I just did. Dennehy wrote in an email obtained by NBC. I was not given a reason for this decision. Now, 2 sources confirmed to NBC that Dennehy was given the choice between getting fired or resigning. He chose the latter. Chris, that's kind of what you bring up here. Obviously, he called it retirement. You know, I mean, like maybe if you're getting a divorce and your wife kicks you out, you can call you're going on a planned vacation, right? We can rename this stuff, but this guy did something criminal, and he's trying to protect pedophiles. What gives?
Arrested, indicted. These are the other options. Why is this even an option that you get to resign with your head in shame? I don't know what is going on with this. You have a new leadership in charge here. Things should be changing. This shouldn't be a continuation of the old guard where you can just take your leave with a golden paycheck. I bet he gets a paycheck at the end of this for years to come.
Yeah, a pension to some extent. Because he's talking about it being retirement, right? So this is kind of like an early retirement. I do like this guy. You know, this guy was obviously married for a long time, because when you start, being married, you talk to a woman for a long time, a wife, you get kind of tricky with the way you word things, It's like, I didn't lie, I just didn't tell you everything kind of thing. But with our government, we should demand more transparency, right? We need to be asking our government. I think we need to put pressure on Pam Bondi and on Kash Patel, the FBI director, and saying, hey, if somebody is found to have been involved in high levels of systemic corruption, because this is not just like I forgot to click the box on a USAID form and didn't categorize where the payment went, that you could kind of probably pass off as oops, I skipped a step. This is concealment of universal documents that are involving global leaders. This is an international correlation and an international, as they would say, possible Mossad CIA operation. This is an intelligence issue. And the fact that an intelligence agency is covering for another intelligence agency of another country makes you wonder what really is going on here.
You can support Trump, you can support the Republicans, you can want the man that you have there in the White House as it is, but you can also expect better than what you're currently getting than this. And that includes Pam Bondi, and that includes Kash Patel, he hasn't been there long, but you can still expect better of this. It's not friendly fire to point to these people that you want in there and say, do better.
I agree with that. As we talk about this, guys, something really important I want to mention. We're all getting a lot older, and you may know somebody who has been kicking butt more than what this current administration might even be doing. Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video that he made, and I was shocked. Now, he's obviously generally a little bit older, right? He's in his 80s, but guess what? He was kicking butt, and he's working out and staying active, something that not a lot of older people do. My grandfather just passed away about a week ago, and he had atrophy in his muscles. He kind of sat on the couch, watched TV, and I wish that he would have done something to get his muscles strengthened so that he didn't lose that energy. And it's really hard to watch people or watch yourself kind of wade away, right? Just kind of wisp into the wind. Want better for yourself, want better for your family. Find out how you can get your strength back today and how Chuck Norris has remained strong and young like me, even in his 80s, by watching this one video that you can find at chuckdefense.com/pundit. He also said he has plenty of energy to play with his grandkids. His wife, she said that she just changed this one thing as well, and that she now can play with her grandkids. Are you tired of feeling tired? Do you want to have that energy back, that pep in your step? Well, guess what? He says he feels 30 years younger in his 50s, and his wife said that she feels in her 40s. She says that, her body looks leaner and she has energy all day. Now, Chuck made this special video that explains everything. Make sure that you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/pundit. That's CHUCKDEFENSE.com/PUNDIT. The link's on the screen right there, and it's in the description. Don't wait until it's too late. Make sure that you get yourself and watch that video today. As we talk about this in an adjustment, let's flip over to our top story here from Canada, as Ontario's premier threatens to cut off electricity to the U.S. Says Republicans will feel pain like they've never felt before. Listen to this. The premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, has threatened to the U.S. over Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on Canadian exports. After initially putting a hold on his planned tariffs against Canada and Mexico, Trump confirmed this week that he would move forward with plans to 25% tariffs on both countries until both countries agreed to his demands surrounding border security. Before we even talk about what the premier did, Chris, I want to get your perspective, being from a foreign country that we are in a trade war with right now. The United States put tariffs on Australia. What is the sentiment, considering Canada and Australia are both crown colonies? They never really fought for independence. They're still somewhat subjugated, to the royal crown in terms of their politics. What is the sentiment overseas about the U.S. and Trump putting what I believe are justifiable tariffs on foreign countries? Do they feel the same way, or what's the understanding?
No, it's fine. Even within our leftist media, we're not outraged about it whatsoever. We're not talking about this. We will suck it up. We'll be fine with it.
Why?
If I were to pick it, it's because you're not our largest trading partner. And we need you for security. Like, we really, really need you. It's not like Canada, where we're a million miles away from everything. You're it. We can't go begging Zelensky style to France and say, please, can we have some money? We have no other options. You are our only security partner. You could do anything to us and we'd be totally fine with it. And honestly, if I can say, for a lot of people, from not the leftists, but from the right side, it's not that big a deal. 20% here and there, we're okay with it. If that's the price that we need to pay for good partnership, as long as you implement these tariffs fairly and equally. If you end up only putting it on Australia and not on other countries as well, we weren't like that, right? You have to follow through with China. You have to follow through with this. Don't back down on this. You have to follow through in Mexico. If you are going to apply these tariffs, do it, and we'll wear it. We'll be okay with it.
Well, it doesn't seem like Canada has the same sort of lackadaisical approach. I guess it's the she'll be all right, mate, sort of mentality. But apparently it's very cold in Canada, and that's actually getting to their heads, because it turns out in an interview on NBC News, Ford said that he had never met a single American who supported the idea of tariffs, despite the fact that the majority of Americans voted for Donald Trump. We have the full video here. I'll play it in just a moment. But I want to remind you that this is the crucial moment that we're in, where you have to decide, especially as a Gateway Pundit reader, do you believe politicians and what they're saying, or do you believe the actions of the people, right? The mainstream media will come out and they'll tell you Trump is unpopular, that people don't want deportations. But J.D. Vance said something very clear that I think was fantastic. He said this: we've done our own polling, we've seen the way the people voted in America, and we know that they want Trump's agenda. So no matter how much the media, foreign leaders balk and complain, we know what the people want. And a good example of that is the fact that Zelensky, they played hardball with him. He leaves, he cries to the media, cries to the European leaders. They all pledge their support. And then what does he do today? He wakes up and apologizes to America and says, fine, I'll do what you want. And I got to say to Zelensky, pat your head. Good boy. You do as you're told, okay? Here's the premier here of Ontario. Watch.
We are the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world. We buy over 3,600 products from 35 states. I talked to the governor of Kentucky and Mitch McConnell. Don't touch our bourbon. I'm going after absolutely everything. And I don't want to. We keep the lights on to 1.5 million homes and manufacturing in New York, in Michigan, and in Minnesota. If he wants to destroy our economy and our families, I will shut down the electricity going down to the U.S. And I'm telling you, we will do it. It's unfortunate. I would rather ship you more electricity, ship you more critical minerals. I want to ship you more energy, more potash to keep your farmers going, and uranium that you use for your nuclear power. It comes through from Saskatchewan over to Ontario. And it's going to be a massive, massive problem. I'm telling you, we love the Canadians love Americans. I love the U.S. Everyone does. And not one American friend. When I lived there for 20 years, I've talked to all of them. Hardcore Republicans are saying this is the biggest mistake President Trump has done, and we're dead against it.
And
I've yet to find one that supports him.
And so if I'm hearing you correctly, you are ready, sir, to go to war, to go to a trade war with the United States, with the Trump administration.
It's the last thing we want to do. It's one person that's coming to attack us economically. Your closest friend, your treasured ally that will stand shoulder to shoulder with you in every situation you faced. And he's attacking the person, his number one customer. There's no country in the world that buys more products off the U.S. than we do. We're the number one trading customer to 28 states. And a lot of them are red states. They're going to feel the pain like they've never felt before. We're going to feel the pain. But I'll tell you, Canadians are resilient. We're strong. We're proud. And we're going to fight back like they've never seen before. And I'm sorry to the American people that your president has decided to do this. I apologize, but he's giving us no choice. There's nothing wrong with our trading. He keeps saying, oh, they're taking money. No, that's not accurate. Matter of fact, if you take out our oil, that you take 4.3 million barrels a day, and we keep things going, outside of that, take the energy to the side, you have a $55 billion surplus. Which is good. That's fine. America has a $55 million process, and 55 billion more in trade. And God bless them. We want to expand the trade. We want to create an AMCAN fortress. The two greatest countries in the world.
It's remarkable, Chris. It is remarkable, this idea that they want to cut off electricity. But he did say one thing about sending a shockwave to Republicans. And what is this with this international disdain, not for America anymore? You used to hear, a lot of complaints about Americans. They're loud and they're this. But it's like they're singling out Republican states and Republicans. Is this something new, or what are you hearing about that?
It's ideological. You can clearly see that this is completely ideological. He wouldn't be mentioning a foreign nation's party name. If we were talking about French trading, he wouldn't be talking about any individual party. This is about, in a word, entitlement. No one, no nation, nowhere is entitled to America's markets, is entitled to America's defense, is entitled to America's money. And you are breaking that mold within your administration. You are saying you are not entitled to $250 billion in aid to Ukraine. You are not entitled to free, unfettered access to America's markets. Other nations are then free to do as they choose after that. But that breaking of the entitlement that you have given the world with $1 trillion in defense spending every year is ending. And they don't like it, and they're screaming like babies.
Yeah, and I think one of the craziest parts about the international community, I was watching a clip today of some of the biggest, it rhymes with the electrical watt, but it's got a T in front of it. Two of those guys that we're talking about, isn't it weird that the UK has made all of its policy over the last 80 years, but didn't think about the fact that the United States may become indifferent or neutral to us, and that we've put all of our trade, our economic plans, all of our national security in the hands of the United States. And I thought what was funny about that is, obviously I've lived overseas, I've worked in several countries and several continents, and people like to talk a lot of smack about Americans. Oh, we have healthcare, we have this, we have that. I go, well, that aircraft carrier that keeps responding to the Chinese fleets that are coming down near northern territories there? Yeah, we don't have universal health care because that is a several $billion boat, and it costs several $100 million to maintain. And so, unfortunately, we're not able to get a free heart scan because we're paying for your security. And I think that the entire international community is going, when Trump goes, we're just not going to play ball then with Ukraine. You guys go take care of it. If you don't want to have peace talks, whatever. What did it take? 72 hours, I think, 48 hours till the whole world went from Keir Starmer in UK going, we're going to put boots on the ground and give 2.4 billion pounds, and we're going to put airplanes to Zelensky going, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, we do need the United States. I think people have been very ungrateful for our benefactor position of helping them stay safe. And maybe people should wake up and realize that the entire reason why their countries can do the things they do is because we've been paying for your militaries for you. And I know Australia is in the same boat where their military is not in very good shape.
You are our security guarantor. Without you, we are alone and isolated. Just this week, the Chinese Navy sailed down between Australia and New Zealand, between Papua New Guinea, and between our two nations, and set up a live fire training drill with less than an hour's notice. And our defense force didn't know about it until afterwards. Had to get the memo. We had to get the memo from an airliner that got the little message that there was an alert going out.
So a Chinese ship was doing a live fire drill right by the Australian borders, and your own government didn't know about it.
We didn't know. We had to find out from airlines.
I'm not surprised. They're part of the Five Eyes, though. They're supposed to be a part of the international security, decorum. That's not. Well, there must be the lazy eye, right? There's four eyes and a lazy one.
And when challenged, our prime minister in an interview said, "Oh, it was under international law." When challenged about trade sanctions, maybe we should do something about free trade, or maybe we should try and do something about. He said, "Well, they're our largest trading partner. We don't want to undo all of our hard work." So we are unwilling to use it, but you guys are willing to use it as a tool to achieve your geopolitical aims. And so you should, but we will stand right by your side doing that.
Yeah, I do wish, though, that the United States would flex a little more. Like, sometimes I'm like, why do we listen to anyone in the international community? I mean, besides maybe Russia and China, like countries that have animosity towards us, that there's potential for conflict. Countries that don't have potential for conflict, we should just tell them what to do and they should do it. That being said, guys, I want to remind you that the economy isn't doing that great. Even though Trump's in office, there has been a market correction. Crypto is in the dumps. I'm literally crying. And you guys know the stock market seems to be unsure of itself, kind of like I was in middle school. But a lot of the smartest investors in the world are not just buying stocks or oil stocks right now. They're actually doing something new. They're collecting what's called mailbox money from oil royalties instead. Talking about oil. Yeah, the hard crude oil in the ground. This is a passive income that shows up a month after month after month, starting with as little as $25. When you visit the website ElijahOil.com, ElijahOil.com, you can discover how to tap into monthly royalty checks from America's most productive oil basin. You don't need to be wealthy or connected. You just need a regular brokerage account. That's ElijahOil.com, ElijahOil.com, to learn how you could start collecting oil royalty checks every single month. The link's on the screen right there, and it's in the description. Check it out if you want to learn how to earn money today in a way that can beat the markets. Check it out. I'm here with my guest, Chris Coveries, and we're talking a little bit about international diplomacy. And that being said, let's bring it back domestically to what's happening here at home. Top Democrat attack dog Maxine Waters tries to storm the HUD building to protest DOGE cuts. The HUD Spox responds with fire. Check this out. Top Democrat attack dog Maxine Waters, who was actually the 13th pharaoh of Egypt. She was storming the HUD building. Seriously, I mean, she saw the Red Sea part. This woman's been around for a long time. She rallied outside the Housing and Urban Development headquarters on Monday to protest DOGE cuts. HUD is planning on laying off 50% of its workforce after DOGE identified $260 million in wasteful contracts. Representative Maxine Waters was joined by Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen and others to try to deliver a letter demanding answers from the HUD Secretary, Scott Turner. The lawmakers were met by security and Turner's chief of staff, who told them that he was too busy to receive their letter, according to Waters. Democrat lawmakers such as Maxine Waters are furious that DOGE saves taxpayers money. Goes on to explain here that she was attacking Elon Musk on Monday evening again. Elon Musk's 13 children sleep good at night. What happens to the other children in America? Check this out. Here's her speech. It's embarrassing. Watch.
Elon Musk's 13 children sleep good at night. What happens to the other children in America?
What's crazy is actually Elon Musk now has 14 children. That's not a joke. Since the creation of this story, he's literally had another child. Pretty remarkable. That being said, in the spectacle, they went up to the building in order to cause a scene. This was, of course, filmed by Laura Loomer and Loomer Unleashed, or one of her associates. Shout out to them and the amazing work that they're doing. Watch.
Members of Congress. Members of Congress. Members of Congress. Stand together. Do not let the
All right. It's a spectacle. I mean, isn't it strikingly odd that a department comes to bring efficiency? It goes into something as simple as the urban development, and they go, there's $250 million of wasteful contracts, which means people are either getting paid to do nothing or they're getting paid and they're doing nothing when they were supposed to be doing something, and it's a waste of money. And what do the Democrats do? They get upset. I know why, but what do you think is going on here?
Entitlement. I keep coming back to it. I was outside the Capitol for one of the protests, which was federal employees, all of them, protesting that their jobs and contracts were being shut down. While they had a body of Trump there that they were trying to hang, that was just a metaphor that you cannot convince these people of a fact when their salary depends upon them not understanding it. You cannot communicate to them that cuts need to happen, that they are not entitled to American taxpayers' money. They live very well, and they don't want to give it up.
Yeah, and I also think too, one of the things that I've always liked about being an adult, we just bought a new espresso machine, right? Because the coffee in America is terrible. That's one thing that we both know. It's pretty bad, but it is nice that we have options. And sometimes I sit there, like we take for granted in a materialist and capitalist society. I go, isn't it cool to my staff that like we have money, we can just do things. Like we just want good coffee, we can just go buy a good coffee maker and then buy good coffee. Like it's fun to be an adult that way. I know not everyone has that opportunity, right? And when you start having money, what happens when you have more money in a company? You grow, you hire employees, and unfortunately, for the way that power works, you can tell them what to do. And I think what we're seeing here is the Democrat power hold being ripped from under them. We're getting rug pulled because I have a lot less power when I don't have my slush funds of money to offer people. It's like, well, do what I say and I can get your son a contract, his company at HUD, and I'll get him $5 million a year and he doesn't have to do anything. That's power, right? Because people listen to money. People don't come to work here because they love it. Well, maybe they do, but obviously they want to earn a living. And I think it's very, very important, except for the intern. He is not getting paid. But everybody else is. But people don't want to do what the Democrats say. What the Democrats ask people to do is pretty unhuman. It's inhumane. It's very, very disgusting. And I think, the only way that they really have that power is through manipulation, blackmail, and what? Through corruption, extortion, and bribery. And when you take away one of those pillars of their house of cards, I think we're starting to see it crumble. And you're starting to see, it's almost like an ex-girlfriend coming to slash your tires. That's what it's like. It's like, give me my money back. That's how she talks, actually. I've met her. Give me my money. You can always, as we said, you can always know Maxine Waters is around because you can hear her before you see her. But I mean, I don't know if you think my finger's on the pulse here, but I do sense that they're in absolute meltdown mode, considering that Kamala, whatever her name is, Kamala T, spent $1 billion on her campaign. There's a lot of power play through money, and now we're removing that. And I think that's what this is about. I don't even think they want to save the taxpayers' money. I think it's about taking out, institutional Democrat power.
From their perspective, they're entitled to it. I know I keep bringing it up, but I spoke with these protesters for 2 hours, and one of them went into the most detail. She described her $115 million contract that had been cancelled. And I was staggered at this sum. This is a staggering amount of money, when only the sentence before she had described herself as middle class. How the hell can she say that her company's lost this $150 million contract that is her company and still describe herself middle class? Every one of the protesters there on far and six-figure salaries, maybe even more, mid six, $400,000 a year, would all describe themselves as middle class. This really is an entitlement that runs deep.
I agree with that. And guys, obviously, you love what we're talking about here. And I want to remind you that if you want to keep up with me, we found a way to kind of, you guys have said, oh, I do this show, I do other podcasts. There's a lot of work that I do. And a lot of us have the same mindset. We're trying to fight the woke mind virus, right? We're trying to stand up against the deep state corruption, the Chinese influence, the communist influence, and of course, some pesky other people that we won't mention here. But I think that it's important. So we created a community where you guys can join. Make sure that you follow me. It's free to join. It's a great site. Go to ElijahSchaffer.locals.com. It's a community of people that are all right-wing. We all are freedom-loving people. And, I'm rather than promoting my social media to follow me there, I'm just trying to promote that as well. Go to Elijah Schaffer. That's ElijahSchaffer. .locals.com. It's just me, and that's my main social media. You can find my X account, my Instagram, everything there. You guys have been requesting, getting a lot of emails from you, so I thought we'd start throwing that in the video and telling you guys to join the community and keep up with everything that I do. As we're talking to Chris Coveries here, I wanted to jump into another story that I think is very vital. Do you remember Casey Anthony? Well, allegedly, I have to be very careful here because we will get sued. She allegedly killed her daughter. The point was that, human DNA, if I track it right, and like human material, like actual, organic material was found in her car. She didn't report her daughter missing for 30 days. Very sketchy stuff. And a jury found her somehow not guilty, which then we have to say here at thegatewaypundit.com, she's not guilty of any crimes, but I wouldn't leave her around my kids, and I hope she doesn't have kids. Well, guess what? It turns out she's been a leftist this whole time. And she's now an LGBTQ activist coming back on the scene. Anthony Scott reports, Casey Anthony, it's an interesting name for an author, considering it's Casey Anthony, written by Anthony Scott. Casey Anthony, the controversial Florida mother who was acquitted of killing her child over a decade ago, joined TikTok to announce her new career as a legal advocate. Anthony, who made national headlines in 2008 after failing to report the disappearance of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, for months, appeared on TikTok announcing her new role as a proponent for the LGBTQ community and for women's rights. In the video, Anthony shares, I've been in the legal field since 2011, and in this capacity, I feel that it is necessary if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately. We have the full video for you. I'll play it in just a moment, but this is a very weird video, especially if you're not American, because maybe you wouldn't understand, but I think there's some irony here that this woman who everyone universally hates because we know she got away with murder like O.J. Simpson, allegedly, turns out, yes, she is a leftist and she's queer. Who would have known that sometimes terrible people all flock together, right? Listen to this insane diatribe.
I sweat to death. Okay. Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened. And it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters.
All right, Mr. Coveries. I mean, look, this is someone who was acquitted. So we can't really, as a publication, say much, about her past. As a person, I can say that I do question her ability to be a mother. And isn't it ironic, once again, every time they find the worst people in the world, they just seem to be far leftists. I don't know why, but it just appears to be the case.
There is a trend. There is a trend. But I think she's kind of missed the boat on this one. I think the upswell and the potential to try and get into the LGBTQ grift, which it has been for years, that water's running out across the world. So I don't know where she's going to be able to get this money from.
That's true. And also, as you would know as a public figure yourself, putting yourself in front of the camera just invites a litany of abuse, regardless if you're a bad person or not. You can be Jesus Christ and you would get abuse. I mean, he was crucified and he was perfect. So, you know, it's not without a reprimand that I would say that she may end up committing suicide or something, which I by the way do not wish for, and by no means is this network, you know, promulgating or even suggesting that there should be any type of violence towards her. But like as a female, you know, they're built differently, and the emotional character of a woman with already so much of the trauma probably she experiences of having to deal with the guilt of allegedly possibly killing her kid and also getting away with it. I don't think that putting yourself in front of the camera is the right thing to do. I think fighting God, turning around, and maybe turning your life towards advocacy for mothers to learn how to not kill their children. Like maybe that, or like make an O.J. Simpson foundation for the victims of children to pay for their funerals who were murdered by their parents. Okay, this is too many jokes, but I'm just saying this is not. It's like, hey, by the way, you know me, the girl who like allegedly might have killed my kid. Allegedly, because she didn't, obviously. But guess what? I'm gay, and also I'm a TikToker. It's like, okay, well, I thought I couldn't hate you more.
It's called attention. It's an attention economy. It will get her attention. It works. You mention it. You say the magic words. It works. That said, that water is running out. And I don't think she's realized it's not going to get her as much positive attention as she's hoping for.
Me neither. Lastly, I just want to do an honorable mention here, reminding you guys that several statements in the Ray Epps first in-person FBI recording from March 2021 calls into question key issues from Epps' testimony. You can find the rest of that story there at thegatewaypundit.com, reminding you guys that if you want to join our mug club, I want you to feel this for a second. This is a good mug. Look at this. It's a nice mug. It feels weighty. It's quality. It's amazing. And you've got to get one of these. You can join the community at thegatewaypundit.com. It is weighty. It is a good mug, right? You drink out of a mug. It's a good mug. It's a nice American weighty mug. It's embossed. You've got to check one of these out. Make sure that you pick this up by joining our community. And that keeps independent media and journalism alive. My name is Elijah Schaffer. Thank you so much again for watching another episode of the Gateway Pundits Week in Review. My guest today and co-host Chris Coveries. If people want to follow you and support your work online and track with you, not just on the amazing breaking news and stories that you put out all the time, which is fantastic work, by the way, but also just, you know, keep up with the updates, see what's going on in Australia. What are the best mediums and what are your handles that they can find your work?
Aside from Chris Coveries on Twitter, I think some of the best channels you find out there, Australians versus the Agenda is an excellent one. Joel Jamal, who's been a guest of your show before. He's also an excellent creator. And his counterpart, Joel Davis. So two good Joels there, but Joel you won't find on Twitter anymore. But Joel Jamal is an excellent career on Twitter there.
This is him here. Chris Coveries, ChrisCoveries, Sydney's finest protest live streams. Slightly right of center right, Elon Musk on Chris Coveries. He responded to you.
Yeah, if you go down to my pinned tweet, you'll see that it's actually my third feature from Elon Musk there. That first one there. Yep. There's your President's Day protest by all of your federal employees hanging. Just come up just a little bit and you'll see, tap on that and you'll see that was your president in a noose, being lynched, blood spattered on face, being dragged in front of your Capitol. So
evil, diabolical, but not surprising. I mean, but by the way, by no means surprising. Anyway, I really appreciate your work, man. You guys got to check some of that out. Go to Chris Coveries right now. It's been fantastic having you on, and I wish you the best on your journeys. And make sure that you guys also stay tuned. Chris and I are doing a show for my podcast called Almost Serious, which is we'll link it in the description probably on Rumble, but we won't put it in the article. We'll put it. You can go to that YouTube channel, and it'll be a long form. It'll be coming out this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. So it's only on YouTube and it's only on that channel. Make sure that you go subscribe to that channel and get ready, because it's going to be an hour long conversation about the dishonesty in the media, how the media manipulates, how governments work with the media. It's going to be kind of an interesting deep dive, considering the fact that Australia currently is at the forefront of some of the greatest censorship agenda tools that are being implemented in the world that I've ever seen. And it's very sad because of beautiful country, beautiful people. Apparently everyone's Australian now today, as we found out, like Everyone's an Australian now, so I don't know what that means anymore, but now everyone can be. Everyone in the world is just an undocumented Australian. So we're finding out about the West. You can live in China, anywhere, but you just aren't Australian because you don't have a piece of paper. There's no people. That's the new narrative that's out there today. I highly disagree with that. But have a great rest of the week as always, guys. May God bless the United States of America, and we'll give a little tip of the hat to Australia as well. I'm signing out.